Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with more Kamihime project. Now, I've been asked a few times about this, so I decided to do this video, but this is pretty much going to give you the general breakdown of how union raid events go. Now, first and foremost, I have to say this. You have to be very careful before the event starts, because if you know one's coming up quickly, and I mean quickly, join a union that has people in it. Because if you don't and the event starts, you won't be able to join a union. So that's the thing. It's like, I don't remember if leaving a union is blocked off, but joining one definitely is. And my guess is that this is to have a safety as to, like, you know how you can get individual ranking rewards for your union, or even union rank rewards for shared participation points. Well, this is to prevent that. So I'm pretty sure that's the whole reason why you can't join a union or leave one. I don't think either, but I don't know about that part. I know joining one's definitely blocked off. Second thing you must absolutely be sure of too. Try to know your limits when it comes to your party. If you know you can't take on a union raid, then don't even try to farm participation points for when bosses get strong enough to a certain point. I'll explain that later. But you still can jump into the fight. You can even die in the fight, as in lose everybody, and you'll still get rewarded. So that's the thing about this. Just go at it no matter how strong you are, but you might not be able to farm participation points as well if the bosses get high enough level, because you seem to get a lot more participation points at a better rate if you seem to know your limits, because then you can just keep on knocking off boss after boss and getting rewards and stuff too. Which is the other thing. There's a lot of upgrade materials that drop from these events, so you might want to farm it as much as possible. But now that we got those out of the way, here's where we start to really get into the meat of things. Now, as you can see, as I get this as I'm talking, there's this video running of me pretty much selling the event. It works like a normal raid boss. It's pretty much anything that happens to the boss from one player's side, everybody gets to see that too. So if a buff runs out, everybody's going to see it. If a buff gets added to the boss, then everybody's going to see it. Some buffs that you use will spread to other players, so it's the same raid basics. Now, what makes this different is the simple fact that it's only your union that's in there. Hence why it's called a union raid event. Now, that said, you have to work together with your own union, meaning communication definitely is the key. Like, don't be shy of the union chat if you need help with something, or if you know you have a good compilation and somebody else might, or something like that. Like, don't be shy. Talk to your union. Try to formulate a plan, because the better you work together, the more you can get out of this. Now, the whole thing with this is too the fact that there's two types of bosses you face, and then there's two difficulties for each. Now, the Willem battles, I don't know for sure, and I haven't confirmed it, if Willems drop from the Willem battles. So I don't know about that for sure. I do know for a fact that this is what you're going to end up farming the most if you cannot handle if you can't handle the demon battles. Because you're better off, like, if you know you can clear the Willem battles, but you can't clear the demon ones, you are better off going into the Willem ones to help other players get stronger or whatnot. Because the main thing about these events is the fact that you can get grails. And Willem battles is how you get the main source of them. I don't know if you get them from demon battles, but I seem to get some from time to time from killing demons, so I don't know. I seriously don't know how that works, especially when the grails don't even show up on the screen. But anyways, when you go kill Willems, they'll drop grails. It doesn't matter if you join somebody else's or if you set up and start your own. This is the only time you can actually fight with friends in order to take out a boss. Because the demon ones are strictly union only. Willem battles, anybody can jump in. So keep that in mind. If you have strong friends, this is the time to actually get their help. But when it comes to the Willem battles, you don't get any special buffs or whatnot. It's just like a normal raid battle, only you farm it for the grails. Because these little cups or grails, I think they're called hollow grails, but these are your ticket to getting stronger for the demon battles. So you have to do these in order to try and get the most out of the demon battles as well. And generally, you want to have enough so you can get your buff level up to 400, and we're about to go into that in a second. But depending on how many grows you might have, other people might have them too, so you got to work together on that, and that's the other reason why communication is key, because your union needs to know what type of specific buff setup you're going to try and go into. Speaking of which, and this is the part where we're getting to as well, when it comes to buffing up your stats and whatnot, I can say right off the bat, you will be buffing up attack and HP. That's a given. Because HP, of course, lets you live longer, attack lets you do more damage. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Depending on what the Union boss can do, determines what happens. Because my Union typically goes with a burst damage increase, so we can just all-out nuke them during burst time. That's a good strategy. You also need to have healers be able to recover more HP. So that's where the HP icon comes into play with the recovery one. Because the more HP you have, the harder it is to keep it up. So when you have a higher recovery, you of course heal more. And naturally, you're going to want some recovery too. So that said, if you really want to go the same route that we do, then max out attack, max out HP, max out burst damage, and then put like 50 levels into recovery. But you also want to get as many attacks off as you can to try and build up your burst gauge. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because double attacks can happen more often than triple attacks, but you definitely want the triples to go off more. So that's up to you on how you want to buff that one. We tend to just throw everything in the triple and say forget double. Especially if you have Kamihime that can up your attack rate, that really coincides with them. Mordrin's also good for that one too, because when you debuff the enemy, it ups everybody's combo rate. And eventually there's also going to be a few Kamihime that really sip and spike everybody's combo rate on the entire team. So yeah. But anyways, you want to try and get your combo rate up if you can. But then here's where the discrepancy really falls short, because it's extremely dependent on what the boss does. But there's also Debuff Chance and then Resistance boost. Now, the Debuff Chance increases your success of putting down debuffs on the boss. Now, quite frankly, I don't even touch this, and I don't recommend somebody would, because you can simply just get somebody that raises the debuff rate, like Mordred, of course, and just do that if you're trying to play the role of a debuffer. However, Debuff Resistance is where it might help a little bit, because a previous boss was capable of hitting us with some really nasty effects, and that's where the Debuff Resistance would really help, because it increases the chances of you not even getting hit with that thing. Now, if you got Kamihime that could just say screw it and just block all statuses, like everybody gets a Mon after clearing the first section of the world map, so that's an easy one to sip and give you that type of stuff if she's not weak to the boss, because keep in mind there's like elements and all that too you gotta play. But when it comes to that, like, it's up to you, but chances are you're probably not getting debuff resistance or buff or you're increasing the chance of causing debuffs. So those two, don't even worry about it too much. But when it comes to the stat boost entirely, you get it's like two special things you gotta watch out for. First off, it only goes up to level 100 when you place those down. So that said, it's 1% increase for every single level you get. So in the case of triple attack, say your normal typical chance of doing 3 hits in a row is 5%, at level 100 it's 10%. So it's pretty much a double increase to your chances of doing a triple attack. So it does not guarantee it, but it does increase the chances. Now, in the case of the other stuff like HP or attack, that's straightforward. At 100, it doubles it. So that's why I said get attack and HP maxed out. You definitely want those two maxed out for sure. Because that means you're doing double damage. You're taking twice as much damage if need be. So there you go. But the other thing to worry about is the fact that you can only use up to 400 grails, and that's why I said that. So the minute 400 levels of buffs is up, you can't put any more out, even if it's not maxed out. So in our instance, my union usually does maxed attack, max HP, max burst damage, 50 to triple, 50 to recovery. We can't put anything else past that. I wish you could, but it's not how it works. Because you'd be quite overpowered if everything does go up to, all the way up to 100. And that would take, I think, 800 rails. But, yeah, that's how the buff system works. Now, the other interesting thing you really need to watch out for is what happens in the demon battles. Because the fact that they increase in level the more you kill them, then you have to pay attention to two specific things. First off, you see that there's 3 different ones that show level right off the bat, regardless of whether you play expert or ultimate. Those are the 3 fights you can get into, because they give you the lowest 3 levels available for that day. So jump into any one of those 3. If you're really reward hunting, a good thing to do during burst time is to just burst, move out of there, and move on to the next one. Especially if you could sit up and instantly just take them out, like I did in a few videos. But the whole thing is the fact that you really want to watch the level, because the higher the level, of course, the stronger the boss gets. Now, as far as I know, according to the Kamihime Project Wiki, which I'm going to link in the description, when it comes to all the union bosses, they have a set amount of HP right at the bat, and then they get an increase based on how many levels they have. So, for example, we currently have a Fire Union raid. So, on Ultimate, she starts off with 500,000 HP, but she also gains an additional 125,000 times her level. So, a level 1 fight against her is pretty much 625,000 HP. So, she has almost 750,000 right off the bat. So if you happen to fight her at level 4, then she's already got 1,000,000 HP and pretty much doubled it. But that's the thing, their HP goes up and their attack definitely goes up, especially in the case of the ultimate battles, because ultimate is definitely set to be harder than expert, that's obvious. But it's still the simple fact that it scales on a much different scale than expert. Like, for instance, expert, you might be able to, like, for instance, my attack power right now is somewhere around the 38,000 mark. And given how my characters are and everything, I can pretty much handle, I'd say, up to level 30 ultimate before I really have to start worrying about healing and HP and whatnot. But I can go into expert, and I can go up to level 80 expert and be able to handle that pretty well. That's what I mean by different scaling. But that's the main thing about that. Of course, the more kills you get, the harder it gets. So you got to really keep in mind, and that's where working with your union comes into play, because another example, this current Fire Union raid boss, they sit up and do some massive damage, and then on top of that can also buff an ultimate where their attack power increases as their health drops. So you definitely want to remove that attack up buff, or you will get nuked like no tomorrow. But then you also might want people playing healer and whatnot too. I've personally got a few team compilations I can set up because I have so many Kamihime at the moment, and I'm bound to get more. But it's still the simple fact that other players might not, so work with what works best with you. So if you have a lot of healers, play healer. If you have a lot of damage dealers, try to nuke the boss. If you have a lot of Kamihime that can deal with buffs or debuffs, go that route. Everybody has their role, and especially when you work together, it It comes into play really good. But last thing I have to say, too, is the reward system. Now, there's 4 different types of rewards. Individual rewards, which is pretty much your own participation points. So, the more you fight, the more rewards you can get out of that list. There's a union one, where it's a union participation points. Now, whatever points that anyone from a union gets will contribute into this. So, say you get 2 million and somebody else gets 4 million, then you got 6 million right off of that. That's just an example, though. Don't take it word for word, unless you're super strong. But that's the whole concept of how that works. It pulls everybody's points together into that section, which is the other reason why you need to get into unions with a lot of people that stay active. I have a pretty active union myself, in fact. But the biggest thing that you really want to pay attention to is the subjugation rewards. And that's split into 2 categories, where it's expert kills and ultimate kills. You need a lot more ultimate kills than expert. Keep that in mind. But you do need to do all 4 and try to make the most out of them if you want the SSR Eidolons, which is the Willems, and the SSR weapons, which are the Pride weapons. Because depending on your setups, too, you can get a lot out of these. I've already done a video on how the Willems work, so trust me when I say this. If you don't know how they work, you're better off not using it. So just upgrade the Willem and put them on the sideline, not your main. But when it comes to the SSR weapon, you want those regardless. So it's going to give you an attack power increase, and then it's going to increase your attack power even further as your HP drops. So you definitely want that. In fact, at the time of this video, my unit is pretty close to getting all 4 of the SSR weapons for this fire union event, so we're pretty much set for that. But that's the whole thing. You're going to want those. There's holy soul points in here, which is completely different than the normal soul points. They give you access to special souls that can really have some nice effects. We just recently got a legendary one, and she's expensive as crap. But yeah, you typically get about 300 points per no, I think it's 200 points per union event. So if you manage to get all the union souls for every single union event currently, because this is the 3rd one, then you should be able to get her and the previous 2. But that's the whole thing with that one. There's also the fact that you get tons and tons of other stuff too to help you with upgrading and whatnot. Like there's a gacha ticket in there, there's upgrade materials, there's grails too, especially the SR grails. Get them because they're very potent when skill leveling. There's gems, there's magic jewels, there's books to try and get your max break limits and whatnot, or if you're using anybody that's awakened, they'll help you out with that one too. I currently have enough books and whatnot to get Awakened Guy at 3 stars right now, but the unfortunate thing is I still need to farm for other stuff too, but that helps with that. There's tons of goodies here, so all I can say is this: find a strategy that works best for you, get buffs that work best for you, get team compilations that work best for you, and farm the crap out of this event, even if it's just killing Willems, because you will get a lot out of this. But that's all I have to say for that one. Now, last thing I have to say is the fact that there's going to be more union raid events. In fact, the light one should repeat because, there's been a light union event, but we didn't get a Willem from it. So yeah, that's all I got to say for that one. But anyways, pay attention to when a union raid event's coming up, because then if you're not in the union, and I gotta hurry up and get into one, because if you're not into one, you're the only one trying to farm for those rewards, and that guarantees you're not getting the union one unless you are somehow capable of farming millions upon millions of participation points. I'm talking about 55 million plus. But anyways, that's all I truly have to say for this. This video should be relevant for even future ones, so come back for reference or anything, or recommend it to others if they don't know what they're doing, just to try and get this info out there. And again, link to the Kamihime wiki, the Japanese one, is in the description. Now, not everything follows the Nitaku version, but it does give you a general idea, so it really, really helps. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. Take care.